Howdy everyone, this is Obsolete Borger. I'm re-recording this because I decided to actually change the name of the channel. So if you're wondering why this is getting reposted, that's why. Having said that, I wanted to legitimately do this for quite a while because I actually really do enjoy the idea of a challenge. And so, with that being said, Leaf Green, Obsolete Borger's first Pokemon Nuzlocke. Now, if you do not necessarily know what a Pokemon Nuzlocke is, here are the rules. I must catch the first Pokemon encountered within each area. If the Pokemon I am trying to catch faints or gets away, then I do not get a Pokemon for said area. I must rename all Pokemon as to become more attached to it. That is to form a bond as to make the final roll all the more tragic. If a Pokemon faints for whatever reason, it is now dead and must be boxed or released for the remainder of the Nuzlocke. I know that's a little bit harsh, but so be said, this is a Nuzlocke. I will be adding additional rules to the Nuzlocke. I will be adding a dupes clause, but I will be running a limit to the dupes rerolls. Essentially, I can only use the dupes clause up to 3 times, which means if I run into a Pokemon that I've already caught or of its evolutionary line, I can skip it. However, on the 3rd reroll, if it is the same Pokemon that I have caught or its evolutionary line, then I must choose to catch or release. A little frustrating, but I think we can manage. I'm also adding a shiny clause, which means we are allowed to catch shinies because I like shinies. Sucks, I know, but it is what it is. I must not overlevel for gym battles, which means I can't overlevel past the gym leader's ace. If we do, it's a little bit frustrating. I'm going to try my best not to, I think, in this entire Nuzlocke, but no promises. And finally, if I lose a battle, then it is game over. A little rough, but I think I can manage, and hopefully we get through this pretty okay. For this Nuzlocke, I decided to name myself Funky because, hey, I like Donkey Kong Country, and Funky Kong is pretty funky. I think it's a pretty fun name. And as for our rival, I end up going for Dennis. I'm a big It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia fan, and hey, our rival is a 5-star man after all. We start the game off proper in our room, and we move downstairs so that we may talk to our mom. Our mom doesn't necessarily seem too bothered about us going out on a journey, despite the fact that we're only 10. I don't know about that, Mom. Hopefully we don't run into any sort of trouble like a mafia boss or anything. After that, we decide to go outside and we try to go to the tall grass to look for Professor Oak. Oak is able to stop us before we end up doing something dangerous like trying to take on, I don't know, a level 2 Pidgey, so that he may give us our first Pokemon so that we can get this Nuzlocke journey started. For this Nuzlocke, I think it's pretty easy to know which Pokemon to choose, so I go for Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur learns a lot of great moves and has a lot of utility with its powders. I think it's the perfect one, as the first few early gyms are a little bit of trouble, but with the grass type you can pretty much sweep through them. I name it Cheryl after the main character from Silent Hill 3 because I think Cheryl is one of the best characters in video games of all time. If you haven't played Silent Hill 3, I really recommend it. Of course, that means our rival is going to pick Charmander, which means that, of course, we're going to have the weakness in this entire game throughout the entire time we end up encountering our rival. It is what it is. Starters are starters, and you just gotta sort of roll with the punches, but I think we'll manage. We end up going into our first battle with Dennis, and you know what? I'll just, feel like I think I can make it through. Battle starts off proper, and of course this means that we're going to have to really rely on a bit of RNG. Me and Charmander are going to just have really basic attacks. I have tackle, so I have to do what I can. Thankfully I get 2 crits back to back, which is pretty crazy, and I feel like it's a really good omen of sorts. Losing the first battle is never a really good feeling, and if anything, it doesn't necessarily count towards the Nuzlocke, but hey, it's sort of a omen of things to come, for me at least. Professor Oak gives us our Pokeballs and Pokedex, and the Nuzlocke has started proper. We are Going to try and get a Pokemon as soon as possible, so we go right into the grass and we're able to get a Pidgey. This is a really good catch for me. I know that there are better flying types, but I sort of prefer Pidgeys. Later on, I'll start to prefer Furos and, you know, the occasional Dodrio. So as for this, Pidgey's Pidgey. It works. I named Pidgey Frank, another It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference, because I like Frank, and true to form, somebody's got to get stabbed. Next up is Route 2, and I'm a little bit apprehensive about what I want here. I know I have Bulbasaur to take on the next gym, but I still would like something for the future, and we're going to be getting... okay, a Rattata. I actually don't mind Rattata. It gets Hyper Fang pretty quickly and it evolves pretty quick. Not bad. I don't know if this one gets Guts, and I don't even think it does, which is a little unfortunate, but hey, I can work with a Rattata. It is what it is. This time I name Rattata Larry. This is just an entire reference to VeggieTales. I don't understand why I do it. I just do it. Don't question me. It's weird. Viridian Forest time, and I am sort of curious as to what I might get. I've gotten okay catches. I mean, Pidgey and Rattata aren't too bad. I can work with that. But this could legitimately be something good. Let's just see what this is, and... okay then. That is a Pikachu. I'm a little bit excited about this, as you can tell. This is my first Nuzlocke, so bear with me. I'm a little bit excited. Anyways, I named Pikachu Helena. I named it Helena because I did a summer play in which I mispronounced the name and I got corrected to Helena. It's sort of a funny anecdote to me. We arrive at the first gym, which is Brock, who is a rock-type gym. This isn't necessarily all that hard. We have a Bulbasaur, he has a Geodude and an Onix. Not really much to have to consider. It's pretty easy. This is a solved equation. Brock doesn't really have anything he can do. Unless he gets super lucky with like just crits that are the crits of crits. I think this is pretty much a solved science. As you can see there, where we completely annihilate a level 12 Geodude. We are at level 13, and as you can see, we're really close to getting the level up. So that means we'll be one underneath the Onix, but that's fine. It's absolutely fine. We can deal with that. Onix chooses to do Bind, which really doesn't do anything. I was expecting something a bit more. Also, Onix just can't deal with a Vine Whip. It's just not possible. Really sad. Sucks to see a go, Onix, but I don't know, get better stats or something. Figure it out. Brock gives us our first badge, and he also gives us Rock Tomb. A pretty decent attack, but I really don't necessarily see any use for it at the moment, so I just sort of leave it in its TM case. But we can now use Flash, so that's always fun. Cool beans. As I'm making my way towards Misty, I get challenged by youngster Calvin. He has a level 14 Spearow, and I'm thinking to myself that maybe this is a good time to get Pikachu some experience, so I send Pikachu out. I learn a really valuable lesson here, and that's to not send Pokemon that are underleveled up against Pokemon that, even though it's decently matched up against, it's still a better idea to just let somebody else handle the entire position. Pikachu is 4 levels under and just got leered, so this is going to be a little painful to watch. Fury attack is a bit rough, and it gets a crit. Pikachu is dead. One of the Pokemon that I was really hoping to use throughout the entire run, and yeah, I make a few other bad plays on my part, but I get away with it, thankfully. Could have been a lot worse. After a scary battle, I am definitely a little apprehensive, but I make my way back with the Walk of Shame to deposit Pikachu. Fare thee well, Helena the Pikachu. You weren't here for long, but hey, you were a funny joke in high school about me mispronouncing your name. So, there you go. For my next catch, I get Nidoran, which is pretty good. I can definitely use this, and I definitely need a new Pokemon after just losing a very early addition to the team. Nidorann's going to be very, very useful, and hey, I could definitely use a Pokemon with a bit of bulk for the Elite Four. Again, remember, this is my first time, so be a little gentle with me in how I sort of play this game. I definitely make some mistakes, but hey, I'm having fun here. Nuzlockes are a pretty crazy way to play Pokemon, but you know what? I'm enjoying it. The apprehensive nature and the feeling of possibly losing a member, it's pretty crazy, but I'm enjoying it. I named Nidoran Hera, and I think that'll work. I'm thinking the name will work out, and I think it'll give it a bit of luck. We make our way to Mount Moon, and I'm taking a bit of time to try and get this encounter. It's a bit weird. I'm just hoping for something that's not a Zubat, because we can't get Crobat, and yeah, we end up getting Zubat. If you don't know, in Leaf Green, you can't actually get Crobat until you get the National Dex, which means we have to beat the Elite Four if we want Crobat, which by that point is pretty much useless. I'm still willing to take a catch because, hey, you know, a flying type will still do some decent damage whenever we get to some of the future gyms, but there will be others where Zubat is essentially just completely useless. Essentially put, I'll take it, but I'm not happy about it. And pretty much, it could have been anything else. I would have really liked a Geodude here. But you can only go for so much before eventually the game can only give you what you can get. So, it is what it is. However, this does mean that something else does happen. We named Zubat Yelp because, I think it's okay. I think it needs some name. But we also give Frank to evolve to Pidgeotto, which helps out. I really need another Pokemon to be a little bit higher. Essentially, there is a rival fight coming up that I'm a little bit apprehensive about. Losing Pikachu was not good. Also, I end up getting Magikarp, and I know that Route 4 is connected, so I end up letting Magikarp be our Route 4 encounter. I name it Bow Wow because I think it's funny, and I have a dog that I usually try and get it to bark by making it say Bow Wow. So there you go. A little bit of context. I end up choosing to fight against Misty before I end up going up against the next rival battle because, hey, I think to myself, why not try and get a little bit more experience and get the ability to overlevel a bit for rival battle. I don't want to necessarily have myself being caught with my pants down, especially after losing Helena the Pikachu. This battle is a little scary because of Starmie in the back, but we do pretty okay against Staryu, so I'm not necessarily too scared. I think I can make it through pretty okay. We take down Staryu fine, and then Starmie comes out. I take a little bit of damage from a crit from Staryu, but thankfully no confusion. I'm okay for now. The Swift does a little bit of damage that I'm not necessarily too okay with, and we don't necessarily do enough damage to get to half. Starmie hits another Swift, and I'm in yellow, but so long as this hits pretty well, and it's a high roll. Nice. We take out Starmie, and we're able to beat Misty. I'm actually really happy about this. We lost one Pokemon, but it's one Pokemon that I don't necessarily have to be too afraid of. Not too bad. The next rival battle, and I am not necessarily too afraid after beating Misty. Because we're in a pretty good predicament, I think to myself that I might be able to get through this. We have Hyper Fang on Larry at the moment, so this feels pretty busted. We're just going to do a ton of damage, and Larry just has to sort of hit sand attacks in order to see if we aren't necessarily going to hit a second Hyper Fang, but we do, and it's also a crit on top of that, as if we actually needed it. Blue is now going to have to really figure out how to take us out, and I decided to switch on this one. Also, I am playing on Switch mode. Remember, this was my first Nuzlocke, and I was a little bit apprehensive. A little bit disappointing, I know, but cut me some slack. I'm now starting to get into working with set mode. I'm working my way down to, you know, the truly hard stuff. We bring out Hera for Rattata because we know double kick so that we can get the type advantage move, and then we go ahead and we take on Abra. We should be okay with this because I think Abra only knows one move, and it's a non-damaging one. I think I get a little bit apprehensive about this, and I even look it up to make sure, as you can see, and yeah, a little bit of a dork on this entire situation. After taking out Abra in a pretty easy battle, considering it doesn't know any damaging moves, we take out Charmander with double kicks, which thankfully we get a crit, which helps us get through this battle pretty much with ease. Blue, you're 0-3. Try and take it back to the lab, buddy. Figure something out. I don't know. Do something else. We end up beating all the trainers on Nugget Bridge, which is pretty cool. I need experience points so I can start evolving Pokemon so I can have a pretty decent team whenever we go up against the next rival battle. That battle is a little bit more hard, and I don't necessarily want to lose any Pokemon for that battle. The only person who's going to be losing any Pokemon is Rival, and that's going to be his Raticate. We turned down this Team Rocket Grunt because, of course we are. We got more pressing matters to deal with. We're trying to become a Pokemon champion, not a Pokemon Grunt. After the battle, Rattata is able to evolve into Eradicate, which I'm actually really happy about. The extra bit of attack to put on other Pokemon with Hyper Fang is really going to help out, and I really just don't want to necessarily have to worry about any more Pokemon dying. So Raticate is a really welcomed addition. Next up, we get a Bellsprout, which I am not going to lie, I'm not necessarily all that excited about. Bellsprout is okay, but I already got a Poison Grass type with Ivysaur and eventually Venusaur, so Bellsprout, you're fine, but you're not necessarily what I need. You're just going to essentially sit in the PC for the rest of this run. However, I do find out that Bellsprout is legitimately the 69 Pokemon within the entire Pokedex, so I think you can imagine what we're going to end up naming it. It's pretty easy from here. Even though I'm a bit older, I can still enjoy a nice joke. So, something I wasn't really considering was actually using my shiny claws. I found a shiny Pidgey. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this.
Coming in clutch, boys.
Yeah. I'm really excited about it. I've actually never caught a shiny. My first shiny that I ever ran into was a shiny Trampinch that unfortunately I fainted. I had my heart broken that day. I would have loved to have had a shiny Flygon. So yeah, not my finest moment at that point. But here, I am not going to give this up. I go for it, and 1 shake, 2 shake, 3 shake, and we have caught a shiny Pidgey. This really has made me feel a lot better about losing my first Pokemon just barely after getting past the first gym. This really does help. Really happy about this.
Oh man.
For the interest of just making sure that this video doesn't necessarily go too long, I'm going to make sure to cut out some of the catches that we don't necessarily really need to deal with. I caught a Meowth to the south of Cerulean, and really it didn't play any real big factor into the entire run. However, I do make my way to Diglett Cave, and I'm able to catch a Diglett. And boy oh boy, this is really nice. I need something for Lieutenant Surge because, of course I do. I don't really have too many Pokemon that can really stand up to the might of too many of those Pokemon. There's Double Team and a lot of electric attacks that I don't want any of my Pokemon to be going up against. But that being said, Diglett is caught. We need a name, so we name it Doom because it is Lieutenant Surge's Doom. Following that, we're able to get Sandshrew in the next route over, and not too bad. I like Sandshrew enough. I named Sandshrew Rocksteady because, hey yo, TMNT is pretty dope, so why not? Works. We get on to the SS Anne and we battle all the trainers, and we finally get to our rival battle. Our rival boasts about how many Pokemon he's caught, and it's all good, I guess. I seemingly forgot to change which Pokemon I wanted to start off with, because our rival starts off with his Pidgeotto, and I have Doom the Diglett. Obviously that's not going to work, so I immediately switched to Larry. Larry has Hyper Fang, so I'm not necessarily too worried. Hyper Fang does pretty decent damage, but then we get hit by a Sand Attack. But this isn't going to really be all that much of a really big worrisome battle. We hit another Hyper Fang, and the Pidgeotto is dead. Blue really wants to send his Raticate to the grave, so I do him a favor and give it an early one. I send out Hera, who knows Double Kick, so this Raticate really can't necessarily do much. It does have Hyper Fang, which is a little bit scary, and I am a little afraid that it might crit. However, we're more than likely going to be able to finish this. I have not too much worry. The Hyper Fang does do damage, and if it did crit, it would have legitimately put Hera down, but thankfully it doesn't. And next up is Kadabra. Obviously, Hera can't necessarily stay, so I gotta switch to something else. I have Bow Wow, which has Bite, which is always great. And considering Kadabra knows Confusion, I want to make sure this doesn't necessarily go on for too long. Bow Wow was able to hit 2 bites, and Kadabra joined its comrades in the dustbin of Blue's pocket. Next up is Charmeleon, and quite honestly, I don't think I need to switch here. Bow Wow is a really bulky water type with Water Pulse. Charmeleon is Charmeleon. This isn't going to be anything we have to worry about. We beat Blue's Pokemon, and we are pretty much ready to take on Lieutenant Surge. Right after we get ready to rub the captain's back, because of course we do. We start to go towards Lieutenant Surge Gym, and after battling his trainers, we're ready to take on Lieutenant Surge.
Here we go.
I have Doom ready to take this entire gym down, but I'm a little bit apprehensive. Again, those double teams can do some damage if you let them accrue, and Magnitude sort of has a notorious situation of missing here and there for me, especially during the entire SS Anne situation, but I'm hoping that I can just get really lucky with all these battles. We're cycling through all of them. We take down the Voltorb, Pikachu's next, and Magnitude hits for 8. 2 for 2, and we've got 1 more to go, so long as Raichu doesn't necessarily pose too much of a threat. Doom is able to level up, and that gives me a little bit of solace, as sometimes that little bit of bump of experience into the next level is more than enough to get you through the battle. We're level tied with Raichu, so this level 8 Magnitude hits, and it's enough to get us through the battle. Really excited, and I'm happy about it, because hoo boy, Doom legitimately gave me a lot of scares while I was on SS Anne, so thankfully he makes up for it by just getting us right through this entire battle. Thank you a lot, Doom, but you're going right back into the box after this entire battle. Sorry, buddy, you just don't necessarily have a lot of room on the team. It is what it is. Thankfully, we go on and we skip a few routes that we can't necessarily really get any Pokemon, but we will come back to them later. However, we do run into a Geodude, and I'm actually really happy about this. I really need a Rock Ground type for coverage, and Geodude is the perfect Pokemon. I also really thank the Nuzlocke gods for this one being Geodude and not an Onix. By God, please, not an Onix. If you don't know, Onix is really good for its defense bulk, which would be good in this Nuzlocke since I am using healing items. However, Geodude has actual attack. Onix is pretty much worthless other than just being a wall. So, good for us. We got a Geodude. Things are looking up. I named Geodude Roxanne, and if I can be very honest, Roxanne is a very, very valuable member of the team and does a lot of work for us. So much so that I ended up actually naming my Geodude in Soul Silver Roxanne as well. Next up is Erica's gym, and we got two flying types, Golbat and Pidgeotto. This battle just isn't gonna be very pretty for Erica. Erica sends out her victory bell, and I can only imagine what y'all are probably thinking is about to happen. Yelp uses wing attack, and the victory bell goes down. Really quick, easy, especially with the crit. Next up is Tangela, and it meets the same fate. Also, we're at level 30 here, and I tried my best. Frank also comes out and gets a wing attack on Vileplume, and yeah, this battle is pretty much, it is what it is. Criticals, super effectives, wing attacks, say what you will, but Frank and Golbat did work. With them both leveling up a bit, this also means that Golbat may just be able to evolve, but we don't have the national dex, so Yelp is doomed to forever stay a Golbat until eventually we beat the Elite Four. Sucks to suck, but thanks for getting us the gym battle, Golbat. It really means a lot. Next up, we do what any precocious little 10-year-old would do, and we steal an Eevee. I have a little bit of trouble coming up with a name for Eevee, so eventually I just end up coming up with Phantom X. If you don't know who Phantom X is, he's one of the members of the X-Force in Marvel Comics. A decent character that I'm okay with and I actually sort of like, especially after reading Uncanny X-Force. If you haven't read Uncanny X-Force, go check it out. It's probably one of my favorite books. Rick Remender's run is awesome. Next up, I take Giovanni down at Game Corner. Giovanni just doesn't necessarily have all that many great Pokemon when you consider that we have a grass starter. So, Giovanni leads with, what else, an Onix, and sure enough, we Razor Leaf it into the ground. Onix is just not that good a Pokemon, and if you ever get it in a Nuzlocke, I am so sorry. Really, it's unfortunate. Next up is Rhyhorn, and it shares the same fate as the Onix. So Rhyhorn gets to spend more time with his pal on the bench. And next up is Kangaskhan, which we also take down with two Razor Leafs. This battle really wasn't all that much to be worried about. And Giovanni, sorry, but man, you're the leader of an entire mafia. Get some better Pokemon, man. After taking care of Giovanni, we return to Lavender Town with the goggles, and we run into our rival. I'm pretty relaxed for this battle, mainly because the Texas Freeze had just happened, and if I can be very honest, the Nuzlocke really did help me deal with a lot of the anxiety that I was dealing with at that moment, so it was nice to just come back and play some Pokemon Nuzlocke. We take care of Blue's Pidgeotto because Frank is a bit more over leveled than his Pidgeotto, which means we go straight into battling the next Pokemon, which I believe is Gyarados. Cheryl is also higher in level than Gyarados, so I'm not necessarily too worried about it. 10 levels is a bit much, but with enough Razor Leafs, we're able to get the win here. Doing pretty good and feeling really good, so pretty nice. I'm really happy. Next up is Gyarados taking on Kadabra. 2 bites and Kadabra is in the grave. Next up is Charmeleon, and he can't really do much because, hey, Water Pulse is pretty sick. With that, we beat Blue again, and, well, as much as he is a 5-star man, I think a 5-star man could have taken on somebody who's doing switch mode. Think a little bit harder next time, Blue. Next up is the battle with Marowak after dealing with all of the trainers in the tower, and I'm not gonna lie, I made a really dumb decision in this one. I lead with Hera because I'm trying to get some more experience on it, And thinking to myself that double kick would be the best move, I realized that Marowak is actually ground and not rock. I immediately pay for this, as Hera gets two-shot and is immediately dead.
Oh no.
I'm not necessarily too broken up about this, mainly because the Texas Freeze has sort of like made me a bit numb to it all.
Goodbye, Hera.
So it is a bit sad,
That sucks.
and
I should've-
we do put Hera in the box with a little bit of fanfare, but
That sucks.
it's fine. Cheryl comes out and takes care of Marowak, but that's another death for this run.
Yeah.
A little
since
sad,
Nuzlocke is
but
gone, I should've
I
really
think
gone
we
with
can
that.
come back from this. Cheryl is able to take out the Marowak, and we replace Hera with Roxanne the Geodude. It's a little bit frustrating to lose Hera, but it'll be okay. After taking out the Rocket Grunts and learning the importance of parenthood from Mr. Fuji, we can finally get back on to our journey to become a Pokemon Nuzlocke champion of the region.
Follow me to my home Pokemon house at the foot of
Getting back to our journey, I make a little bit of a foolish decision not to level up Roxanne more. We needed to be at least 10 more levels higher. This happens, and I am absolutely terrified. However, Roxanne lives,
Roxanne.
showing that Roxanne only
Roxanne.
craves Voltorb flesh and will live by any means to get it. We run into our rival within the Sylph Company building as well, and since we're not really too busy, I guess, we end up taking Blue on in another battle. This time it's a little bit more rough, but I think we can manage mostly. Bow Wow takes on Pidgeot, and this time I paralyze it to make sure it's not too quick and am able to get it down with the Water Pulse. One down. Cheryl is able to take down Gyarados after putting it to sleep for the most part, and that goes pretty well. Gyarados takes down Execute with a bunch of bites as well as paralyzing it, but gets paralyzed as well. This leads into Alakazam, which is a little terrifying as it is set up one Calm Mind as well as a Future Sight, but I'm able to Thunder Wave it, and after a while I'm able to get enough Dragon Rages down to make sure that this Alakazam gets to enjoy one defeat for now. There will be a future battle where it is a lot more scary, but for now, this is fine. You gotta be very careful with Future Sight, folks. Always count those turns because that Future Sight will hit, and when it does, it's a doozy. Next up is Charizard, and wouldn't you know it, that Future Sight decides to hit. It's a bit of a doozy because Alakazam was able to get off one Calm Mind, but we're still alive, and I decide to use a Hyper Potion. Since I am using items, I'm right back up to full health, get enough Water Pulses and a Thunder Wave off, so Charizard is confused, and it's enough to get us the win.
That was good.
I guess Blue isn't necessarily a 5-star man after all. Having dealt with Blue once again, it's now time to pick up what is probably one of the most important Pokemon of this entire run, the Lapras. The Silphco Lapras is really good. It can actively save your run, and for us, it sort of does. We take the Lapras and we name it Richter. I think it's a really good name, and hey, I like Castlevania a lot. Next up is Giovanni, as we try and figure out who's going to be leaving this building with the Master Ball. I'm really going to be honest, coming back to this video as I'm in the middle of an Emerald Nuzlocke as I play set mode without really using items or over leveling or anything. This battle sort of disgusts me now. We pretty much just go through every single one of Giovanni's Pokemon with little to no difficulty. It's all pretty much easy. We hit a Magnitude on the Nidorino, then automatically switch to Venusaur for Nidoqueen, which is a little bit of a bad play on my part, but I don't really get too punished for it, as Bow Wow is able to come in and Water Pulse Nidoqueen into the dirt, which means that we can switch for Cheryl to deal with the Rhyhorn, which it is what it is. We put it to sleep, and that essentially is enough. which means that Roxanne can use Brick Break on Kangaskhan and pretty much finish this battle. Again, this was my first Nuzlocke. Be a little gentle with me on this entire situation. Having said that though, we are able to take down Giovanni, and after I completely mess up and open the health menu for some reason, it's pretty much looking like all butts for Team Rocket. But as for me, that means I get a shiny new Master Ball, which will help me for a future catch that gives me a little bit of trouble. Cool beans. And with that being said, that brings the first part of this Nuzlocke to a close. I'll be finishing up the rest of this Nuzlocke in part 2. I hope y'all don't mind. But thanks so much for watching part 1. If y'all want to follow me on Twitch, I'm Obsolete_Borger. I'm currently going through all the Pokemon games and Nuzlocking them currently on Emerald, which may or may not be going through in hardcore rules. We'll see how we can get through that. Also on Twitter, I'm at fight_nerdy if you want to follow me there. I usually talk about pro wrestling, video games, and comics, as well as post about the schedule as to what games I'll be Nuzlocking or playing next. Also, if you want to help out the channel, maybe I'll hit a subscribe, and hey, I'll be sure to start trying to upload to this channel a bit more. But hey, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios!